Hello, Connective. So today we're doing something. We're using two different decks, the High Vibe deck and the, okay, I'm just going to take this. This is the High Vibe deck. List of Love. I'm going to read it after I pull the other card from the Getting into the Vortex deck. That's what I was going to say before I dropped all those cards. Okay, so one card. We want one card. Actually, this is the one that flipped first. What is this? Every relationship I establish is eternal. Okay, interesting. Okay, so yeah. Now, let's read the High Vibe deck. So the High Vibe deck, the way you use it, and the reason why I wanted to pull that card first is because you basically rate your vibration between 1 and 10. If it's 1, it's a low, and 10 is very high. So you rate your vibration, and then after we do this reading where we combine this with the Getting into the Vortex, you're supposed to rate your vibration again. So let me read the meanings of these two cards, and then let's talk about it. So the first one from the Raising Vibration deck is List of Love. Write a list of all the people who deeply love you. Think of all the people who deeply love you. Feel the love. Okay. We're going to talk about this. Now this is from Getting into the Vortex. Every relationship I establish is eternal. So this card says, it is our desire that you come to remember that every relationship is eternal, and that once it has been established, it is a part of your vibrational makeup forevermore, and that in your powerful now, where all that you have become converges with all that you are now becoming, you hold the power to create. And so your observation of a situation, wanted or unwanted, no matter how remote you believe yourself to be, makes you a co-creative partner of the experience. I like the word remote because the word remote kind of reminds me of like if someone say is in a relationship or not in a relationship. So they say they're just alone, and this like people keep trying to have relationships with them, but they're like the wrong types of relationships and they know it. And they're kind of like, oh, relationships are stupid. I don't know why people keep trying to be in relationships. They're just dumb. They just keep coming. They all look the same, this and that and the other thing. And the thing is depending on the way you're looking at stuff, you could be just bringing that. Like you could just be bringing only that. Like there could be something else in the world, but you're bringing this whatever it is that you want, how it is coming at you that you don't want it to come at you kind of thing. You can even be like, not be experiencing anybody and be doing that just by the way you're thinking about things. And so this, high vibration card is kind of telling me like, this kind of goes, along with the law of attraction and, and bringing in abundance and things like that. But, I feel the need to point out because this is the High Vibe deck, and love is one of the highest vibrations you can get. So if you're in a situation, in a place where you're experiencing anger, frustration, or whatever, if you can, sometimes it takes something just as small as like your pet or your small child or whatever, walking into the room to kind of switch that state from, frustration to love or whatever, and then once that happens, you feel totally and completely different. It just, when someone says raise your vibration, like you don't even really understand what that means until you physically feel lighter, and it's true, and it can be. So, by actually, writing a list of all the people who deeply love you, and allowing yourself to feel that love, you 100% can absolutely raise your vibration. Even if it is a pet, or someone who's not, on this planet anymore, someone who's passed, they count too. You can write that down. First of all, that love still exists, as Abraham said, all relationships are eternal. So, it can be whoever, whatever, any list that you can create of love is helpful to you. Now, the other thing I want to say is this. Sometimes people can write a list of people that they love and the ways that they love them, but they can't make a list of the ways that people love them. And this could be including family, people who are supposed to love them. Like it could be a spouse, And honestly, what I just described, when you can't really make a list of the reasons why, like it says a list of the people who deeply love you. So you don't really need to know why. But if you have a problem with this list, I mean, people who know, like they know, this person loves me unconditionally. This person loves me, I just can't do this or whatever. Like this person loves me. We connect really well. This person loves me because they're my father. When we're talking about like genuine love, we're talking about when you can trust that someone genuinely loves you. And you can make a list of those people. What I'm saying is when you can make a list of those people, you know why. But let's say you have trouble with this list in any way, shape, or form. You have trouble coming up with a list of people who love you, or you kind of, because that'll come up too, like even if you can come up with, your dad or whoever, like you kind of go, why does this person, or, sometimes for some people it's even their, like I said, their spouse, their significant other. It's like, this person loves me, but I don't really know why, that's a self-esteem issue. That's if you can make an easier list of people you love and why, but you can't make a list of people who love you and why, that's a self-esteem issue. And the reason why this is so important is because you won't think it's a big deal. You'll, even if you recognize it on your own, like even if you didn't need this card, if you just knew, you're like, I love people unconditionally, but I don't feel that about myself. I don't feel that way when I think about myself, and sometimes even in some cases I might make a decision that's not totally, if it's a choice between me and them, like it's more geared towards them winning, and sometimes, it could even be someone that you're dealing with, like when you're in a spiritual awakening and you're in a spiritual awakening and that you're dealing with a relationship that's eternal. What do I mean? What do I mean by that? When I was early, when I was first in my spiritual awakening, I didn't even really watch TV. I definitely didn't watch YouTube. It would be way later until I discovered YouTube and just the tarot card readings. But even when I did discover the tarot card readings and the things that I would get into later, people wouldn't talk about twin flames. And the thing is they would talk about it, but they wouldn't say what it was. And as somebody who hadn't really been watching and didn't really know, I was kind of like, what are they talking about? What do they mean? Like, we don't say the word, they would say, or something like that. And so you knew it was something, but you didn't know what it was. And I was like, what are they talking about? And it doesn't have to be, unfortunately, I hate to say it like this, but unfortunately, an eternal, something that is described quite the way this card describes it, every relationship I establish is eternal. I establish is actually the key words that I was looking for on this card. I'll get to that in just a second. Those eternal relationships, It doesn't just have to be a twin flame. It can be a soulmate. A twin flame's a soulmate, but you can also have a soulmate and it's not a twin flame. People in spiritual circles talk a lot about karmic relationships. It's a soul. It's still a soulmate. They're all eternal relationships. Most of the time what happens is you got to work something out with that person. You might have to work it out in general, and that person's the best way to work it out. Like maybe they did try to go the flip side of what you're doing, and so you both decide to carnate, on the flip sides of each other to work each other's stuff out. Maybe you didn't create it with them, but you're going to end it with them, kind of thing. It could be but still, it might just as well be something you experienced with them in another life, and they treated you bad, and so you get the opportunity to kind of, so they can see how, what the difference is, and you can see what the difference is. And, honestly, in situations like that, in relationships, as a side note, the opportunity always exists that you can choose something else. Like, you don't have to abuse that person or whatever you can always make another choice. Sometimes, you have free will. So you can always make another choice. You can always choose to love in a situation, and even one that's not great, because that's why we keep coming down to this planet to work stuff like this out. Because we keep doing the same things over and over and with these internal relationships, and we don't get it right. And the reason why I highlighted the words I establish is because, say I have a bunch of, soulmates scheduled in this life, and I go through these soulmates and go through what I'm supposed to go through with these soulmates, because that's why, the purpose of that sometimes, most of the time, coming across them in this life, there's a reason, right? But then maybe I just bump into somebody and have this, really fast, really passionate relationship with them. They're not anyone that I met in another life. They're just new, If the relationship is powerful enough, then I just established, an internal relationship. I mean, it kind of is like that anyway, because the ones that you hang around with are probably ones you hung out with in another life. But there are exceptions to that. I wasn't going to say anything, but I might as well just throw it out there. An exception to be like reincarnating with the same souls over and over and over again is like if you're a light worker. And in that case, you may choose to incarnate in a different, like a family that's not like your soul family. But again, that's a totally different video. I would say a lot of times that each soul group kind of like comes down as a family in a way. But like I said, I've heard of some really complex plans, and we don't even see everything, like it's only part of it. So literally it could be anything, these eternal relationships, these eternal, but like I said, the reason why we keep circling around in it is because a lot of times we don't get along so well, and we kind of do the other thing. So even if you feel like no one loves you and you make a list of things you love, you can put yourself right in this spot. Honestly, a lot of times what people forget, especially empaths, is that they are love. They are love. Like, even when the situation that they were in was so crappy that they're kind of like, their only thought is like, I don't know what love is, but this isn't it. They are actually love. Even in those situations where they're hitting rock bottom, all they're doing is giving love. It's who they are. So technically, a lot of times, if you can't even make a list of, people who love you, and you can make a list of others that you love and why, and even like I said, to actually allow yourself to feel that love. It's the same thing. It puts you in the same spot on the vibration scale. Honestly, you could love a tree and it would put you in the same spot on the vibration scale. It's your love. It's not what it is you're pouring it out to. It's how how much love is there, how pure is it, how strong is it, that's what carries. That's why sometimes you can, even when things are not great, you can kind of coast on that. So, let me read it again. Because remember, we're supposed to be rating our vibration. And if we write a list of all the people who deeply love us, and think of all the people who deeply love us, and feel that love. Like I said, even when we're not really feeling love, we can feel love. And even if we don't really love anybody, we can still feel love. You can flip it around if you want. So honestly, like I said before, I guess both cards, really, but the first one for sure, when you're in a situation where you're in a spiritual awakening, or you're trying, most importantly, you're trying to raise your vibration. Love is where it's at. You can be in a place that you don't really want to be in, and you could start thinking about your cats or your dogs or your bird or your car, or, it doesn't have to be a animal or a person. It could be an inanimate object. It could be, a memory from your vacation. Honestly, anything you love, anything. And you just think about it, can raise your vibration every single time. And the more you do it, the more you can raise your vibration. The more that even when things do happen that would normally lower your vibration, sometimes those things won't even happen because, first of all, your vibration is too high. You've been having fun too long. Honestly, I don't always live in love. I kind of can, sort of. I really do appreciate a lot of things in this world, coming down to the sun and things like that. And I really do love to be out in the sun and things like that. So, there's all these bonuses throughout my day, even if things don't go extremely smooth, if you know what I mean. But I do definitely spend a lot of my days, in a place somewhere between love and contentment. And I'll tell you, even when things happen that are hard or disappointing or whatever, especially if it's something that's away from the home, it's so much easier to keep it in perspective. You're kind of okay, well, I'm not going to let that ruin how I feel, or, maybe it just doesn't, because you've already primed yourself to be in a better mood. So, you're almost kind of there, and then the news breaks, and it's wow, wow, and then you walk away, and there's a laugh track playing in your head now. It's not quite like that, but I'm just saying that, and sometimes it can be. What if you're laughing about something, something was so funny, and you're laughing hysterically, and then somebody comes and they're all panicked, there's true fear on their face, and they reveal to you, something that isn't really a big deal. You start laughing again. This is what I'm talking about. When you're trying to tell a serious speech, but then you start laughing, and then you have a hard time catching yourself so you can continue the speech because now you're laughing. This is what I'm talking about. Love is like that. Happiness is like that. Higher vibrations on the scale are like that. If you don't want to think of, write a list of things you love. Write a list of things that make you happy. Genuinely happy or excited or whatever it is you want to be. If you're I got plenty of love in my life, I don't need to make a list. You can make a list of anything. Make a list of things that make you happy, like I said. Make a list of things you want to get, make it more challenging. Make a list of things that make you smile. And you kind of go, I don't even know. And then all of a sudden now you're spending time trying to see how many times a day you smile. Just find a positive, something above contentment, and make a list of it. And see how you feel. See how your vibration feels afterwards. If you do this on a daily basis, again, we're talking about the snowball effect. We're talking about momentum. We're talking about things picking up. And if you are in situations where you're making relationships, or you got a bunch of important relationships, this can only help that. Not only your relationships, but you. Even if things are going on in your life, you can navigate them a little easier because you've got this better feeling coursing through your veins. It really is helpful. might as well think about it now instead of when things are, you know, like unhappy or less fluid. You know, when it's rocky already and your alignment's already off. Think about it every day so that things don't throw your alignment off. And just remember when you're dealing with people that, you know, relationships are eternal. So love everybody. Make a list. Until we meet again.